So today I'm going to go over the characters of Zenless Zone Zero, more specifically talk about their designs and how I find them just rather lackluster as a whole in terms of the entire cast, which is a bit odd considering this is a Hoyo game and Hoyo versus games are generally knockouts when it comes to character designs. Think back to Genshin Impact, even down to their launch characters in 1.0. You had, the likes of Amber and Lisa. Kaya was very flashy and showy. You had Mondstadt's Batman. All of the Liyue cast at the start, they all had these distinct appearances that would really attract people to gravitate towards those characters to, sort of be their favorites. And then you have Honkai Star Rail. We lead off with Kafka. We get to see Himiko, March, and Dan Heng. All these characters look good and they stand out. You get to quickly attach to your favorites. And these designs certainly improved over time. However, for Zenless Zone Zero, I just don't really get the same feeling. When looking at the available cast of characters, none of them really stand out to me. And even when playing with them through the trials, you can trial the standard S rank characters, and just about everybody in the roster will appear in the trial as either the main character or their two supports that accompany them in battle. So you get to feel out how these characters play as well. But even then, playing through these characters and then looking at their designs, it's just, there's not really a whole lot of characters that stand out to me that I could say, wow, I really like them. They're my favorite character of the launch crew, which is a bit disappointing when coming from a Hoyoverse game. And I do think there's a very identifiable reason as to why a lot of these designs don't really stand out and, can't really capture my interest as well as previous Hoyo titles. Or really just gacha games in general. I've played more than just Hoyoverse gacha games. All of the gacha games that I've played previously, there's always been characters that stood out to me, that really captured my eye based off of their design, that would gravitate towards being one of my favorite characters in the game. And I think the biggest reason why I don't feel that way with Zenless Zone Zero is that Hoyoverse's design philosophy when it comes to the characters in this game is that they do try to keep characters consistent within the faction that they're a part of. So every character does belong to a faction. It will say right next to their rarity ranking. So the A rank Anbi, she's part of the Cunning Hares, which is Nicole's group. And so all of them belong to the Cunning Hares. And I think the trio, well, I guess there's four of them, but I think the four Cunning Hares are a bit of an exemption since they are fairly distinct from each other. Whereas you go to characters who belong to Victoria Housekeeping Company, and you have Corin, who is a maid.
I'm sorry.
You have Ellen, also a maid. She's wearing the maid dress, right? It's basically the same length. Corin's is a bit, wider, but for the most part, and then, Ellen's is a bit shorter, but the maid getup is basically the same. And then you have Rena, also a maid, but she has like the longer dress. But in total, we're looking at 3 characters in maid gear. And then you have Wolf Boy over here. He's, filling the role of the butler, all right? I mean, he looks flashy and dapper, but it's still the same. You have 4 characters out of a cast of 16 that are in housekeeping attire. And then that's the same with Bellabog Industries. So we have Bellabog Heavy Industries, led by Kaleda Bellabog. And again, you have, I want to say, you have another 4 characters who follow into this, this fit. So here we have the top, midriff, the jacket tied around the waist, top, midriff, jacket around the waist, biggest difference is that she's taller and she's bustier. You got, again, Bellabog Industries. His weapon is construction equipment. You know, construction equipment, construction equipment, construction equipment. They all wear the same jacket, which it does make sense. They all belong to the same faction. You have some unity there. But at the same time, it is a double-edged sword because all of these characters in the same similar attire and weapon fit, they just don't really stand out outside of their group. And then we have the Sons of Caledon, which looks to be a thug street gang group. And again, you have the thug fit. I mean, she's got a cool like weapon looking thing, brass knuckles on a studded bat. But again, we're looking at street thug gear. And again, kind of street thug gear. She's got the spikes over her tank top. And it's all very samey within the same faction. And then if we take a look at, you know, Soldier 11 and Onbi, you know, they're not part of the same faction, but they have almost identical outfits. You know, the body armor with the sword and weird backpack.
Ready for combat. Ready and waiting.
And, you know, she doesn't have the body armor, but she still has the silhouette of like the skirt and stuff. With, you know, the same backpack, same kind of sword. Their playstyles are different, but their designs are just so very similar. And there's just very few that kind of stand out. And then in terms of like other things that kind of put me off of like character designs is that when you take a look at the male characters, for example, there are 4 males. 2 of them are animals, like full-blown furries. You have Big Ben here, and then the Wolf Chad over here. So if you're not really into this animal design, the furry design, which me personally, I'm not really into it, that's half the male cast already gone. Billy is a robot. And then you have Anton over here, who's looking like the most basic ass shonen protagonist imaginable. Looks like he belongs in an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! So your options for like male characters is very limited, and it does look like going forward that the male additions to the game are also going to be a little few and far between as well. And then when we go on to the female cast, again, this is certainly more personal preference, but a lot of the female cast share very similar body types with little variation. So you have the 3 petites down here. I think Ellen should classify as the medium. Again, another petite down there, another small petite down there, small petite down there. So a lot of it is on this like youngish model of female characters. You only really get, you know, 2 of like the taller models. I guess 3.
My services are expensive.
What's your name? Nicole would fall in there as well, but I mean, if you're into like this type of character design, it's Nicole, Grace, and Rena. Those are your only options. The rest are, you know, sort of like on-beast types. So again, like the diversity of the character designs really does swing one way over the other. It's far less balanced. And I do think the uniformity of their outfits to reflect their factions does a lot more harm than good. Now, that's not to say that I completely hate the character designs in Zenless Zone Zero. I just think that they can and really should be better considering the quality we normally expect from Hoyoverse in terms of their character designs. Of the cast available to us right now, I would say that Grace is probably my favorite of the bunch, but I mean, that's a very loose favorite just because, you know, none of the others really appeal to me, and it was more of like a eeny, meeny, miny, mo situation between, you know, like Grace and Nicole, and you could probably tell why. I mean, they're just, they got great figures and they're pretty hot, and that's the best thing I could say about them. But let me know down below what you think of Zenless Zone Zero. How are you enjoying the game? What do you think of the character designs? Do you think their designs are great, or could they be better? I'd be interested to read your thoughts below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for the next video.